Hi guys,
I'm Melanie Bolis.
and I'm Ryan Nigley.
And our Unit 2 for Bio is on
The Slippery Elm, also known as
the Elmus rubra.
The slippery elm is a plant that is currently at risk of extinction. Our goal is to discover different ways in which we can reverse this.
Why is this plant threatened with extinction?
This plant is threatened with extinction due to Dutch elm disease, which is a fungal disease of elms. The fungus is spread by both a native and an introduced bark beetle, whose larvae tunnels under the outer bark and create distinctive feeding galleries. It is also very susceptible to elm phloem necrosis, another devastating disease that affects the nutrient-conducting tissues of the tree. Symptoms of elm yellows include yellowing and drooping foliage, followed by leaf drop and death of branches. This pattern may occur on one or a few branches or may quickly involve the entire tree. Susceptible trees, such as the slippery elm, may show symptoms over the entire tree in a matter of weeks.
What type of plant is it?
The slippery elm, also known as the Ulmus rubra, is a plant of the elm species, which is part of the deciduous tree family. It is also of the Plantae kingdom.
What part of the slippery elm is medicinal?
The inner bark of the slippery elm tree has been used medicinally for generations. Native Americans would peel its slimy, red, inner bark from twigs and branches. When the bark is mixed with water, it generates mucilage, which soothes anything it touches.
What are the benefits of this plant?
The gel can coat and soothe inflamed tissue. This coating can act as a barrier against acidity. Slippery elm can also stimulate the intestines to produce mucus. People have used this as a natural medicine and orally treats sore eyes, bodies, and throats. It can also treat diarrhea, constipation, inflammatory bowel diseases, heartburn, and GERD.
What does a healthy digestive system look like?
In this project, we will be focusing on how this plant helps cure GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disease. In a normal and healthy digestive system, the lower esophageal sphincter opens to allow food to pass into the stomach and closes to prevent food and acidic stomach juices from flowing back into the esophagus.
Now, what does the digestive system with GERD look like?
In a digestive system with gastroesophageal reflux disease, the lower esophageal sphincter is weak and relaxes inappropriately, allowing the stomach's content to flow up into the esophagus.
How do the medicinal properties treat GERD?
The mucilage from the bark of slippery elm coats the esophagus and may help prevent the irritation and inflammation that occurs when stomach acid flows up the esophagus. If you experience GERD, your doctor may suggest you try mixing 1 to 2 tablespoons of slippery elm powder with a glass of water after a meal as a natural remedy, either taken orally or topically.
How does it work?
Slippery elm contains a type of soluble fiber known as mucilage. Mucilage traps and absorbs water, forming a gel-like substance that can coat mucous membranes, providing a short-term relief of pain and inflammation. The high calcium content may also act as a mild antacid.
Where and how do we harvest the slippery elm?
The slippery elm is native to North America, with populations extending across much of central and eastern United States and into eastern Canada. It's best to harvest tree bark in the spring, just as the buds are breaking. As the sugary sap rushes up from the roots, the inner bark swells and fills with minerals and nutrients. All that extra liquid makes the inner bark more pliable and easier to remove. Bark can be harvested any time a tree is about to be cut, or within a few weeks of a tree coming down. The outer bark of slippery elm is soft and corky, and a knife will go through it. The inner bark is moist and fibrous, and once it's scored down to the wood, a strip of bark will pull away easily.
Animals who depend on the slippery elm.
Flowers that are successfully pollinated produce fruits that many birds eat, including Carolina chickadees, rose-breasted grosbeaks, and purple finches. Squirrels and other small mammals eat slippery elm seeds. Insects such as borers, leaf miners, caterpillars, scales, insect-eating birds eat the leaves of slippery elm. These leaves provide food for many insects that in turn provide pollination services for other plants or food for other animals.
More information about the slippery elm.
The slippery elm is distinguishable from other elms by its red, hairy buds and its rough, hairy twigs. Slippery elm is adapted to its environment and is one of the shade-tolerant species. Ulmus rubra is a medium-sized deciduous tree with a spreading head of branches, commonly growing to 12 to 19 meters, very occasionally more than 30 meters in height.
How can we save this plant?
To save the slippery elm, we can start by making sure to not over-harvest the wild trees. By using care when purchasing the products and avoiding those that are harvested in the wild, we can minimize depletion of this endangered tree. It is imperative that we begin planting this tree as a part of our sustainable farm and garden practices. Thick, young stands of trees could be thinned and used as medicine, while older, more disease-susceptible trees could be used for building and firewood. These plantings should not only be considered for aesthetics and for food and medicine, but also as a source of seed stock to ensure the future survival of the most giving tree.